Morning teacher and classmates. Today I'm going to talk about to share about my personal expectation and opinion over how to stay alone. Like learn to stay alone or learn to be alone. Well, this one I think it is very important for most people because when it comes to be alone or being alone, most people would like to portray it as a very terrible consequence or condition because people are social beings and they love to communicate, meaning that people are very communicative, so they love to stay in the surrounding environment where there are a lot of people. Like they are afraid of loneliness and even being alone, like because it feels so horrible and unreliable, because sometimes when they don't know how to do anything, they would love to have people to depend on. So when there are no people to depend on, it mean it feels so uncanny and terrible at the same time. So it is very understandable for most people to feel that way, but that's okay because being alone is not that bad at all. And I'm here to explain it, but in Buddhism way. So before I explain it, I would like to uh, narrate about the story of Buddha, the journey that he became an the enlightened one, became enlightened, and it is an interesting story. I guarantee. If you are a Buddhist, yes, it is an interesting story. So here's the part. So let me remind you again, like most people are afraid to be alone, but they don't know that the power of being alone is very extreme, very stable if you cannot and you can master how to be alone. Because alone people are quite dangerous in this society because they don't need people to agree with their opinions, they don't need people to depend on. They master everything, they learn, they survive by themselves. They understand society, they understand their ability and skills, so they are not afraid, you know like like they be saying like I can do it by myself, like I can do it by my own, I don't need people. And they are very brave because they can also stand up for themselves. For instance, if there is any debate, so one is opposing side and one is supporting side, whether that alone people stand with their opposing or supporting side, they would stand up against the opinion bravely. I mean, they are still insecure and doubtful with themselves, but believe that they are still brave enough to protect themselves, and they are hard to be controlled too. So it is very good to master how to be alone sometimes. So now here's the part. So once upon a time there was a prince called Siddhartha Gautama, and he is Buddha himself. The enlightened one, the awakened one, the god of knowledge, the god of wisdom. So he is our god. So back then he was a normal human like the rest of people, but his status is very high. He was a prince. He had a wife and a son called Rahula, and his wife yeah, Sautiriya. Yep. So he was prophesied that one day he will become the greatest, the enlightened one. He will become enlightened. So his father was afraid that no one will, inherit the throne after his death, because he has only one son. It is Siddhartha Gautama, mean yeah, the Buddha himself is his only son. So he tried to use a lot of ways to stop Buddha from reaching his enlightenment, but fate didn't listen to his father desire. Like fate defied his father, the king desire. Soon or later, Buddha still found a way to become enlightened. But on his journey, at first he started with like 5 or 6 months, as I remember. So he still with people, still stayed with people, yeah, on his first day. So when he stayed with people, he believed their opinions, like their expectations. Why? Because in that group they believe that being extreme will lead them to enlightenment, because they believe that if they push themselves too much, like push themselves beyond their limits, one day they will achieve enlightenment. But after such years, like Buddha saw and didn't get any result. So he started to think that if he's being, like if he still, like kept being extreme in the future, he wouldn't be able to achieve his enlightenment. So yep, he started his journey by his own, because when he tried to tell those 5 or 6 monks, they didn't believe him. So yes, now is the time he's learned to be alone. So he found a river and a Bodhi tree, Bodhi tree, you know, and he sat under that Bodhi tree, face to the east, and face to the east and the river. And at that time, he also understood that okay, when he's alone, he has more time to focus on himself. He understands things quickly. He has time, he has time to uh, create or discover himself. Like he can explore and meditate himself precisely more than when he was with those 6 months, I guess. So like he's more focused, he is more precise with his purpose and goal. He found himself, like he created his self discovery. He understood himself more, and soon enough, like after 7 years, 6 years more, he became enlightened. And it's all thanks to his solitude or his solitary moment, because in his second phase, when he started to reach enlightenment at the second time, he started off alone, and he was very solitary. Like he didn't focus too much about outside environment, like the world, human world. So he only focused on himself. He had more time on himself. He can discover himself more, understanding his purpose, understanding his flaw, learn from his mistake. He reflected about his his inner world more. So it was very different, and it was a big difference when compare when he was alone and with people. Because when he was with people, he was distracted by their expectation, their standard, their moral code, false moral code, and even by worldly things such as property, goals, lust, like women, alcohol, like that. But when he was alone, he understood everything. Those things aren't necessary at all. So the moral of the story here is that being alone is different from being lonely. Yeah, it's true. Sometimes they can come, hand in hand, like they work with each other. If you are alone, sometimes you can be lonely, but not at all. If you can master your emotion, like understand the importance of being alone very well, because being alone is actually very, far different from lonely. You can still be alone. You can still sit alone. Sing alone, do task alone. Like focus on yourself alone without getting distracted and without getting lonely, getting to feel lonely. And yes, in the video, if the monk also mentioned that Venerable, highly respect to him, he mentioned that the only reason that you often feel lonely when you are alone, it is because you lack of purpose or goal. So it's true, because think about it, if you have goal or purpose, you wouldn't think about okay, I'm so lonely at all, because you know that if you are alone, you will have more time to focus on yourself, and you have a lot of time to maximize your potential and your skills. So you would likely to lock in more than being dramatic about, okay, I'm so lonely, I need someone to take care or to lean on. Yep. So, and I'm not just saying it out of, I'm not just saying it randomly. Most successful people, they survive by their own too sometimes. Yeah, they are supported by their families sometimes, but they are supported by their family or relatives. Yes, it is true, but most of the time they still learn or like discover themselves when they are alone. For instance, like Nikola Tesla, he works best when he is alone. Albert Einstein too, he works alone. They all worked alone when they were alive. So, like being alone gives them superpower if they know how to use it. Convert it into a fuel or energy to keep moving forward rather than just, you know, keep you whole, like keep you tight in one place. So it is the matter of perspective too, because it depends on the quality of our thought. So if you think that being alone is dangerous, your brain will perceive it as a dangerous condition and you will feel terrible. But if you consider it as an energy fuel to keep moving forward, give you discipline, you will discover yourself. You will be more disciplined. You will understand more about yourself. And last but not least is being alone is not lonely at all. If you sometimes people are different, but being alone is not lonely at all. Sometimes it's kind of peaceful and solitary. You should give yourself a moment to learn to be alone, like at least to discover yourself inside, to know what you are thinking. If you are being with people all the time, surrounded by people all the time, sometimes you gotta lose yourself because people have expectation all over you. They view you in a very different way. Some people think that you are introverted. Some think that you are like a silent one, like quiet kid or introverted like that. So they have different perspectives over your body. But you are the only one who know yourself, and the only time that you know yourself is when you sit alone and try to communicate with your inner world. And again, I would like to recommend some tip to master how to be alone. Is meditation is very helpful, or write a diary about yourself when you are alone, like just a simple sentence like, today I am so happy because I have discovered my purpose, like that. Or today it is my very first day that I start to write a diary, just like that. No need to be complex about stuff. So this is the end of my video, and I hope you enjoy it. And this video is quite long because it is 13 minutes long, but that's okay. I love to talk long. Goodbye everyone. See you in the next video.